So on the back in constructive rest, whatever kind of stretching or wiggling that you might want to do to loosen some things up and prepare yourself for practice. As you go, eyes could be closed. You could be really beginning to turn your awareness inward, letting go of the outer world, beginning to embrace your inner world, and noticing anything that you find in your inner world with curiosity. So not that you have to fix or change or figure anything out, but just be curious about what you find inside. Eventually coming to a point of stillness and deepening your breath. Notice anything particular about your breath today. Perhaps it feels a little fuller, perhaps it feels a little jagged. Just noticing what there is to notice about your breath. Our reading today is entitled Obstacles as Questions. Obstacles occur at the outer and inner levels. At the outer level, the sense is that something or somebody has harmed us, interfering with the harmony and peace we thought was ours. Some rascal has ruined it all. This particular sense of obstacle occurs in relationships and in many other situations. We feel disappointed, harmed, confused, and attacked in a variety of ways. People have felt this way from the beginning of time. As for the inner layer of obstacle, perhaps nothing ever really attacks us except our own confusion. Perhaps there is no solid obstacle except our own need to protect ourselves. Maybe the only enemy is that we don't like the way reality is now, and therefore wish it would go away fast. But what we find as practitioners is that nothing ever goes away until it has taught us what we need to know. Even if we run 100 miles an hour to the other side of the continent, we find the very same problem awaiting us when we arrive. It keeps returning with new names, forms, and manifestations until we learn whatever it has to teach us. Where are we separating ourselves from reality? How are we pulling back instead of opening up? How are we closing down instead of allowing ourselves to experience fully whatever we encounter? And so taking a few moments, see if anything resonates for you there. Contemplate those questions. See what you might be seeing as obstacles in your life at the moment. And if you wish, set an intention for your practice. Now you can wiggle and stretch. Take a long stretch of your whole body. Yawn, sigh, turn from side to side. Draw the knees in towards the belly and have a few moments there. You could rock, you could be still, you could squeeze and release. And rolling to your side or rocking forward and back to come up. Coming up to a comfortable seat on the edge of a folded blanket if you have one available to you. Cross-legged seat for the moment. We won't stay here for very long. So just letting the legs cross, the spine extend, and you can close your eyes for a moment or two if you wish. Take a couple of deep breaths. Letting the shoulders begin to roll in one direction a few times. And it doesn't matter if you start forward or back, we'll do the opposite in a moment. But taking these rolls of the shoulders, noticing what tension might be residing in your shoulders, and then rolling in the opposite direction. Taking the hands behind you, palms face forward, and you're going to grab on to the back of the blanket. Hands a little wider than hips, maybe a little wider than shoulders, but grabbing onto the blanket and pulling the hands in opposite directions. Notice what that does, the shoulders, the chest, maybe the arms. So you're just giving a little pull, a little tug, hands in opposite directions. You don't have to pull with all of your might. You can just be pulling a little. And then we'll let the right ear over towards
Question.
the right shoulder. Yes. Question.
Alicia, you said face forward. Does that mean towards the front? Like this?
Yeah, palms face towards the front. Yeah. And you take them behind you. Okay. Hold on to the blanket that way. Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks for asking.
And then pull back.
Yeah, and you're pulling to the sides. Yeah, hands away from each other.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. So getting that little tug, it's going to stretch across the front of the chest. And then we'll lean the head over to the right. Roll the head forward, chin comes down towards the chest, and head leans over to the left. Let your head come back up onto your spine. Release the hands, give some circles to the wrists, both directions. And then we'll send the legs both out in front, and you can walk the legs back into their hip sockets. And bend both knees, but keep the feet out a good distance. So feet out a good distance, knees bend. We're gonna take the right foot and slide it underneath the left leg so that your right foot comes over near your left hip. Probably in front of your left hip, I guess would be the correct way to say that. The left foot can either come back and be just to the inside or near the right shin, or it can cross over to the outside of the right thigh, as long as we can stay upright. So if when you cross it over, you start to lean way over to the side, keep it there to the inside, more near the shin. Hold on to the front of the left kneecap and give a little lengthening to your spine. Left hand comes a few inches behind your left hip, and the right arm can wrap around the left leg, or you can lean back, tuck the right arm to the inside or outside of the left leg, and give a little press of arm into leg, leg presses back into arm, and we twist to the left. A few breaths here. Unwinding back to center, hold on to that left kneecap again, and give a lengthening to the spine. Lean back onto your arms, send the legs both out in front again, and maybe they need to walk back into their hip sockets. So you kind of wobble side to side and legs come back into the sockets. We'll bend the knees. Now tucking the left leg underneath the right, it comes over towards the right hip. Right foot to the near the left shin, or to the outside near the left thigh. Holding on to the knee, the right knee, and lengthening up through your spine. Take a couple of breaths. We're going to twist to the right. Right hand comes a few inches behind the right hip. Left arm could hold on to the right leg from the front, or you could lean back, tuck it in, and give a little press of leg into knee, of arm into leg, leg into arm, and take a couple of breaths here. Head could turn to look behind you if you like, and notice if you're clenching your jaw or holding too tightly through your neck and shoulders. Back to center, holding onto the right knee, and give another little lengthening to the spine, and a deep breath. Release the legs both out in front again. You can wobble them, walk them back into their hip sockets. Slide the hands down the fronts of the legs and leaning forward, even if it's just to the smallest amount, leaning forward out over the legs. Let it be casual, let it be soft and rounded, not like you have to reach, not like you have to stretch, but just taking a moment to, again, turn the awareness inward. Probably feeling some stretching even in a casual way, and taking a few moments here. Bringing your torso back up, and we'll sweep the arms out to the sides, interlacing the fingers, turning the palms, and stretching arms up towards the sky. A couple of breaths here. And then releasing, come off of your blanket, and then making the blanket into a roll. So from this general shape, we're gonna roll it all the way up. So rolling it up and then placing it across the mat. Give it a little pat so that it stays rolled and it gets a little bit flatter. And then coming up to stand. And for the moment, we'll stand just behind that blanket roll in mountain pose. Feet could be all the way together. Feet could be slightly separated. Feet could be more than slightly separated. And as you get into mountain pose, feel free to wiggle, shake, shimmy, whatever your body may need. And now we'll carefully take the front of the feet up onto the blanket. So the heel is down on the mat. The toes and the toe mounds are up on the blanket, and the feet are about hip distance apart. And so the fronts of the feet are lifted, and we go back for the moment into a mountain pose, and notice any stretching through the calves, through the backs of the legs, the ankles, the toes, and take another breath here. Bend your knees a little bit and start to let the torso come forward into a standing forward bend, head and neck release. Open and close your jaw. Arms could dangle, or you could hold on to opposite elbows. Slow rise, coming back up. We'll sweep the arms out to the sides and up. Touch the palms and bring hands to heart center. Pause a moment here. Carefully step to the other side of the blanket so that the heel is lifted on the blanket. The toes and the toe mounds are on the mat. So now the back part of the foot is lifted. Standing up in mountain pose, but with this lift underneath your heels. Bend your knees, torso comes forward into Uttanasana, standing forward bend. And again, noticing any sensations that might be a little different than when we are in forward bend with feet flat on the mat. Release the head and neck, open and close the jaw, let the arms dangle, or hold on to the opposite elbows. Rise slowly, arms sweep out to the sides, palms touch overhead, hands come to heart center. Take another moment here. And carefully step off the blanket, set the blanket off to the side for now, and come to stand near the front of your mat, back to mountain pose, feet a comfortable distance apart or even all the way together, and noticing the muscles of the backs of the legs, muscles of the feet and toes. We'll inhale, sweeping the arms out and up. Exhale, bend the knees and fold forward. Inhale, coming up halfway, lengthening the spine. Press hands to shins. Exhale and fold. Inhale, slow rise, coming up. Palms touch overhead. Exhale, hands to heart. Again, inhale, sweep arms out to the sides and up. Exhale, slowly fold forward. Inhale, coming up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, slow rise all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. One more time. Inhale, arms sweep out and up. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, rising halfway. Exhale, folding. Inhale, slow rise all the way up. Palms touch. Exhale, hands to heart center. Pausing a moment here. Noticing the movement of energy, movement of breath, and any changes in the body. We'll inhale again, sweep the arms out to the sides and up. And exhale, folding forward. If your blocks are nearby, taking the blocks on either side of the feet and stepping the right leg back. Your choice with the right knee, either keeping it lifted or bringing it down to the mat, whatever seems like the right choice for you today. Hands are about underneath the shoulders. Spine is elongated, whether it feels like it's elongated at a diagonal because we're a little bit forward, or perhaps it feels like it's elongated and stretching up over the hips. Both of them are good choices. So taking your time to feel long through the upper body. Another breath or two. Bringing hands to hips without taking too much weight into the back knee. Left hand is going to stay on the left hip. Right hand is going to come to the outside of the left knee. And for the moment, I've just got my right hand to the outside of the left knee, and I'm going to see what happens there. I'm going to turn and twist the body to the left and take a breath here. Maybe this is a good place to stay. Maybe you slide your right arm a little farther down your left leg and get to the point where you can press elbow into leg. And hands could come together in prayer position. Top hand presses into bottom hand presses into top hand, and that might help the twist. One more breath. Unwinding back to center, arms up to the sky, and hands down to the blocks or to the floor. We'll step forward, standing forward bend. Give a moment here. And then hands back to the blocks or the floor. Left leg takes that big step back. Your choice, left knee staying lifted or left knee coming to the mat. Finding length in your spine. Deepen your breath. And have a few moments here making adjustments as we go. And we'll bring hands to hips without taking too much weight into that back knee. Right hand on right hip, left hand to the outside of the right leg, and we'll begin to twist. Staying here or perhaps sliding the left arm a little further down the leg, hook the elbow, taking hands together into prayer position and pressing a little bit to help the twist. Breath or two here. Releasing, sweeping the arms up alongside of the ears, long stretch. Hands coming back down to the mat or the blocks. This time we're going to go back, so take the right leg back to meet the left and find your way into downward facing dog. And take notice of what movement your body wants to do. Maybe it's a lifting and lowering of heels. Maybe it's bending and straightening the knees. There are other choices as well. So have a few moments of exploration in downward facing dog. We're going to come forward to plank pose. Pausing there for a moment, press the floor away, hug the belly. Let the knees come down lightly to the floor. We'll call this modified plank. And bending the elbows, slowly lowering whole body to the mat. Sliding the forearms out in front and propping up into Sphinx pose. Elbows are about underneath the shoulders, forearms are parallel. A couple of choices for the legs. They could be hugging together or they could be about mat distance apart. Press down into your arms, pull the heart forward, maybe look a little bit forward, or if you prefer, look down between the thumbs. Option here to widen the hands, press into the palms and lift the elbows. If that doesn't work, elbows stay on the mat for Sphinx pose. We'll have another breath or two here. Slowly lower all the way down to the mat. Slide your hands underneath your shoulders. You can press up to plank pose or modified plank pose, or press up to tabletop, and then into downward facing dog. Couple of deep breaths here. Lift your heels, bend your knees, look towards the hands, and walk on tippy toes or take a little hop or two, making it to the top of the mat and forward bend. We'll come up halfway, lengthening the spine, pressing hands to shins. And then folding again. Fingertips to the mat. Right leg takes a medium-sized step back. Plant the right heel. Give a little bit of bend to your left knee just to bring Hands to the left thigh and slowly come up to stand, and then we'll straighten the left knee. We're facing forward towards the front of the mat. Feet are not as wide apart as they would be for warrior one, a little narrower than that. Taking the arms behind the back and sliding the backs of the hands across the low back to hold on to the forearms or hold on to the elbows, or perhaps hold on to the biceps, whatever is available for you to grab there. Shoulders are rolling back, heart is lifting up. From here, we'll start to slowly tip the torso forward, and if it's wobbly, you can let go of the arms, take the fingertips to the front shin. Eventually coming down to a place where you feel that stretch of the backs of the legs, probably mostly the left leg, but perhaps a little through the right leg as well. You can micro bend the left knee, see what that does for you, and let your head and neck release down towards your leg. Another breath here. Release your hands to the floor if they're not already there. Fingertips touch down on the mat. We're going to step forward, forward bend on the top of the mat. Give a good breath here. Come up halfway, lengthen your spine. Fold again, fingertips to the mat. Left leg now takes that medium step back, left heel plants. The left foot is really almost all the way pointed forward, but just not quite. Little bend in the right knee, hands to the right thigh to help you to press up, coming up to stand, and then straightening the right knee. Slide the hands, backs of the hands across the low back. Hold on to whatever part of the arm you can hold on to. If the base is unstable, right foot might go a little to the right to help with stability there. Torso tips forward, nice and slow, so that we can feel as that stretch intensifies. Arms could always release to take fingertips to the leg or fingertips to the floor, fingertips to blocks. And we'll have a couple of breaths here. Release your fingertips to the floor. Give a little bend to your right knee and step forward to your standing forward bend. Have a good breath there. And slow rise, coming all the way up. Sweep the arms out to the sides. Touch the palms overhead. Bring hands to heart center. And take a moment here. Release the arms to your sides. Mountain pose. Adjusting the feet to wherever you would like them to be. Eyes could be open or closed. Facing the long side of your mat and standing about in the center. Stepping the feet a good wide step apart. In these classes, we've often been looking at what if I took my feet wider than usual? What if I took them narrower than usual? And so you might experiment a bit, maybe a bit wider with the feet today. You can always change them. We'll turn the right leg out, the left toes turn in slightly for warrior two. Upper body faces the long side of the mat. We'll bend the right knee, take a look at where that knee is going. We want it pointed towards the center of the foot or out towards baby toe and over the knee or over the ankle or the heel. Arms come up to your wide T, maybe even a little higher than shoulders for today. Turning to look out over the fingertips of the right hand. Few breaths here, strong legs. And we'll straighten the right knee. Keep reaching over to the right and then letting the right hand come down to the right leg. Left arm reaches up. Light touch with the right hand. Now we're in triangle pose. Heart turns away from the floor. Hip turns a little towards the floor. Top hip turns a little towards the floor. Then we invite some length into our necks. Coming back upright, wide T arms. Release the arms for a moment, and then switching the legs. Left leg turns all the way out, right leg turns a smidge in. Bending your left knee for warrior two. Heel and ankle, knee over the heel or ankle. Arms coming out to a T and maybe rising just a little higher than shoulders. See what that feels like for you, especially as you turn to look over to the left. Couple of breaths. We'll straighten the left knee, lean over and into triangle pose. A few breaths here. Lots of places where we could lengthen the body. Lengthen the legs, lengthen both sides of the torso and the spine, lengthen the neck, and the arms are long as well. Coming back upright, lowering the arms, and we'll toe heel the feet a few times, stepping back into mountain pose, pausing for a moment there. If you'd like to move off your mat for tree pose, over to a wall or over to some furniture or just off the squish of the mat, step off the mat, and then we'll stand on the right leg. Begin to lift and turn the left knee out, foot coming below the knee, above the knee. Maybe it's heel to ankle, wherever is best for you to balance. Hands might come to hips initially. Give a squeeze to your hips, a length to your torso. And then hands perhaps to prayer. Press your foot into your leg, press your leg into your foot, and feel like you're narrowing your hips towards the center line. If everything's feeling stable, arms can reach up, arms could reach out, gaze can lift. Slow, steady breath here. And just as slowly and carefully as we came in, we'll come out, hands and arms come back down. Leg and foot release. We pause right where we land. If that place is not your Tadasana, find your Tadasana, your mountain pose, and have a breath or two here. Standing on your left leg. Begin to lift the right leg, turn it out, slide it to the spot where you'd like it to be on your leg. Hands could come to hips to help with the stability. Feel like you're squeezing hips in towards the center line. You're lengthening your torso. Hands could come to heart center. Arms could reach up, arms could reach out. A few slow, steady breaths here, a bit of concentration on a point across the room. And carefully begin to come out of the pose. Letting the foot come down and pausing right where you land. If that's not Tadasana, shore up the feet, pausing back in our mountain pose for another breath. Feet step a little greater than hips distance apart, but not as wide as they were for our warrior two. Torso comes forward, bend the knees a little or a lot. Just slightly wider than our Uttanasana stance, but we'll give a good bend to the knees, give a shimmy and a shake to the shoulders, move the head and neck, have a couple of breaths here. And feel free to experiment with straightening of the knees. Maybe you bend and straighten a few times and get the effect of that stretch. And have another couple of breaths. Even lean a little side to side, shift the weight. Coming back to your bent knees, bring the hands to the thighs, press with the arms, come up slowly. Pause a moment right where you land. We'll come all the way down onto our backs. Now, having nearby your strap, your blocks, your rolled blanket, just for when we need them. Knees hug in, give a rock from side to side. Feet coming to the floor. Option of either your rolled blanket or your block underneath the back of the pelvis for a supported bridge. Even with the blanket is not as high as the block, but it's still a good height to just lift the hips a bit. So whichever of those choices works for you, finding some support underneath your back for bridge pose. From here, the knees come up over the hips, legs up towards the sky. And we'll have a few breaths here with legs up. Option of making some different shapes with the legs. Maybe drawing the legs closer to the torso as they will allow. We'll bring the knees back in, take the feet back to the floor. Pause here at this supported bridge. Lift your hips, slide the support out from underneath you, rolling down to the floor and windshield wipering, knees from side to side. Strap around the right foot or hands behind the right leg if you haven't got a strap. Right leg extends skyward, press your foot into the strap. Let the arms be extended but not out of their shoulder sockets. So A straight arm with hands reaching up towards the foot. A breath or two here as you see about bringing the right leg a little deeper into the pose as is appropriate. And then the choice of sliding your left leg out long across the mat. A few breaths here. We're going to bring the left leg up as well. So slip the left foot into the strap if you're using a strap, or hands behind each leg. Pressing up through both feet, drawing down through the hands and arms. Left leg stays lifted. Right foot comes to the floor, and we pause here. Maybe seeing about bringing the left leg a little deeper into the pose as is allowed by your body. Sliding the right leg out long on the mat if you choose, and having a few breaths here. And bend both knees, hug them in toward the belly. Strap can go off to the side. Give a few rocks from side to side. Arms out to a T, knees over to the right side of the mat, reclining twist. Head could lean over to the left. Knees back to center and over to the left. Head could roll to the right. Rolling back to center. If there's anything else that you would like to do here, could be a happy baby, could be any stretch, maybe just a long stretch before we come to our shavasana. So feel free to have a few moments, be mindful of what you might like to have to use as props for final relaxation. Feel free to take that extra time to set up a really good nest for yourself so that your whole body feels supported, whole body is able to relax and let go. If you haven't already found your final resting place, please move there in another breath or two, and we'll spend a little bit of time on the breath before letting everything go. Begin by noticing your breath. What is it doing when you're not minding it? have some movement of breath and some stillness of breath in a pattern. So we'll take a 4-count inhalation, a 2-count pause, a 4-count exhalation, and another 2-count pause. So we're making this ratio breath, and you can come along with my words, or you can move at your pace. We'll breathe in for the count of 4, hold for 2, exhale for 4, hold the breath out for 2, inhale, pause, exhale, pause. Continue to move your breath that way for a few more repetitions, feeling the square shape or rectangle shape that your mind might see as we breathe in, we pause, we breathe out, and we pause. And the next time you find yourself at the end of an exhalation, have that pause and then let go of this pattern. Breath invited to move easy and free, no particular rhythm, no pattern. And inviting your body to a state of full relaxation, or as full as possible. Letting go of your arms and legs. Notice if anything needs to be repositioned. Letting go of the hips and pelvis, the torso. Letting go of your head and your neck, muscles of your face, your jaw. Release your hands and feet. And see if you can let your awareness rest in the center of your palms and in the center of the soles of your feet. So a little bit of awareness to palms of hands and soles of feet. Perhaps inviting energy in or letting energy out. Meanwhile, the breath rises and falls. Body gets to let go if it will. Mind gets to rest if it will. Imagining no obstacles, no questions. Perhaps seeing the mind as a still and clear lake. releasing any stress. Begin to deepen your breath, but let the body stay soft. You start to move your fingers and toes. Rotate through your hands and your feet, wrists and ankles. Begin to stretch and yawn and sigh. Hugging your knees in one more time. Give a squeeze, give a rock. Finding your way up to a comfortable seat of your choice. Any seat will do. When you get there, option to close your eyes. Hands can rest on the legs or in the lap, perhaps in some kind of meditative posture, palms up, palms down. Slow, steady breath. If you wish, hands coming to heart center with a bow of your head. Gratitude to your body, gratitude to your breath, gratitude for this practice and for this opportunity to be together. Thank you for practicing with me. Namaste.